I think we're ready to go.
Do you think I have a problem? Drinking problem?
Oh, you brought two? Wait, hold those up.
I'm not a morning person.
Hold those up.
Water.
One's water, one's coffee?
Tea. I
Tea.
don't drink coffee.
Oh, okay. What kind of tea you working with?
Tetley.
Tetley?
Yeah.
What is that?
It's just regular tea. Tetley tea.
Tetley tea? I've never heard of it.
I'll tell you, I'm so bad. I'm such an addict. Like, people are like, how come you never did Coke or whatever? Because I smoked a cigarette when I was 9.
Yeah.
And it took me 21 years to quit. This tea, I drink it iced tea. I drink it hot tea. I drink it. I probably could just put it on my tongue, a tea bag.
Right. Just steep it that way.
They didn't sell it in LA when I moved here, so I had to call the company. I would call, and the lady, Tetley Company in Connecticut, would be like, "Oh, hey, Eleanor."
What?
Sorry.
This podcast is brought to you by Tetley Tea.
And all the addicts out there, I salute you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where do I look? This one, oh, look at that too.
That's your close up, Eleanor.
Where?
Right there. You see that? You see that guy? That's my close up right there.
That's you.
And then that's our 2-shot right down the middle right there.
I love a 2-shot.
And you're inside of Jeremiah Wonders right now. We have Eleanor Kerrigan on the show.
So excited.
Comedy Store royalty.
Whoa.
Yep, I'll say
about that.
I will.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Tissue. I mean, there's so much in case I cry.
I usually try to make my guests cry. That's one of the goals of the show, is like to have people come in looking really nice, and by the end, just
be a blithering idiot.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, it's mostly allergies, but I'll pretend I'm crying.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have allergies?
I think I have adult allergies now.
Adult. Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I have.
I have adult onset allergies.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I asked my mom if I had allergies because my friend had it. And she goes, honey, stop it. We're not Italian. Knock it off. I know what that.
We're not well off enough for allergies.
Sorry. The Italians get all the fun stuff.
They get all the fun stuff. Shellfish allergies. No, that's more of a Jewish thing. That's a Jewish thing.
Yeah, I found that out later in life.
Yeah?
When I started sleeping with Jews.
Hey.
Hi-oh.
Hi-yo. Hi-yo. Hello. Hi-yo. How we doing here?
Is this good?
I think so. They were good.
Listen, when I'm on stage, I do this. I hunch.
Yeah.
So Danish and O'Neill call me the hunchback of comedy. It's inappropriate, but accurate.
We'll get to it later, but
Okay,
there's some great questions that were sent in.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I can't. What?
Yeah.
So who sent questions in? So are we live? Are we doing this?
We're in.
It's happening.
It's happening.
Hi.
Hey.
I'm up.
Yeah. No, this is actually probably one of the earlier podcasts that I've done.
I know. I'm sorry.
No. I said I had to give me some Eleanor Kerrigan. Let's work around her schedule. I don't care.
I'm an early bird.
Guys, it's 3 a.m. right now. We haven't been to sleep
Wouldn't
yet.
that be amazing?
We just took showers. We're like, no, we're awake. We're good.
I'm good. I got it.
Yeah.
I'm up.
Yeah.
I took half a shower. I didn't want to wet all of me, so
I did the wet naps. Just cleaned up, had some
wiped
baby
it out
wipes,
and came out.
Yeah, wiped out and
I'm
came
sorry.
out. I apologize.
2 a.m.
It's just part of me.
But at least I say I'm sorry.
Right? If I apologize, then it's all good, right?
Is that how girls do it? If I apologize,
it's okay, right?
I said I'm sorry.
Like seriously, like I apologize. So I think we're good here.
That's my new 2020. I'm going to be more girly.
Yeah.
Ah.
That caught me really off guard. That caught me, Eleanor. That I was not quite ready for that.
Would it work? Would that work with
It's like literally
my dick out?
like what?
Oh, is this a PG one?
No.
Oh, good.
No.
Thank God.
Thank God. No. I think that kind of sounds like an impression of a girl who has not hung out with any other girls. It's like, no, I just want to be one of the girls. Yeah. let's go get makeup.
When I first started waiting tables at the Comedy Store, I wasn't doing stand-up. This was years ago. I used to hire the waitresses because Mitzi trusted me for some reason.
Yeah.
Mostly because I didn't want to be a comic. Now she hates me, Avi. And so I would hire girls and they'd be like, I'd find out how annoying, they were.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, oh my God, does Polly sure come here? I'm like, no, you're fired. You're fired. She's like, I just fill out the application. I'm like, no, give me the paper and the pen.
Dude, Eleanor, did you get some of those referrals that came by?
Polly, I'm never, ever hiring
I met
girls.
some girls at one of the clubs I went to.
Really?
Yeah.
Polly, how many of my waitresses are you going to sleep with? I can't take it.
I can't put a number on that.
Oh, my God. I hate
if
you.
there's a will, there's a way, bro.
We used to fight like cats and dogs.
You and Polly?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? About what? Just everything?
Everything.
Well, you're around all the time.
True. And
So-
his mom and I were very, very close.
Yeah.
And he don't like that too much.
Well, yeah, because then you're kind of like a sibling in a weird way. Right?
Yeah, they have. Yeah. But also, like, Mitzi would be like, oh, go ask Eleanor. And he's like, what? No.
Yeah,
But-
I want to talk to. Yeah.
And I'd be like, Mitz, don't do that. Like, well, you handling it, he'll deal with it. And I'm like, but he hates me now. And there was one time we had a big fight. He thought I got somebody fired, and I really didn't. Like,
Yeah.
Mitzi was so nuts, she would just fire anybody. And she would tell me to do it, but it wasn't me saying, fire that person, because she would have fired me. That's how
Right.
it worked. And so she goes, Polly flipped out and he yelled at me and the talent coordinator. At the time, it was Freddie Soto's wife, Princess Corey. And so he was yelling at us and he goes, the two of you will never work in Hollywood.
I've had one.
I didn't know he had so much power. I gotta be honest.
I know.
I haven't worked in years. Polly, break the
Dude,
spell.
you didn't know that I control Hollywood. A lot of people think the Jews do, but it's the Weasel.
But aren't you all right.
Don't tell anybody. It's not cool. I don't want people to know him.
Polly, just so you know, it shows.
Dude, what?
No matter how slow you roll. Dude, what?
Dude, but I don't get it. Jews don't talk this slow, bro. Dude, it's totally chill.
I've had him on the Comedy Store podcast, and he's like, dude, I want to interview you. I'm like, no, that's not how it works. Then I'm like, all right, fine. And he's like, you do stand up, right? I'm like, no, I can't. I've had it.
Dude, so how do you write your jokes?
Me and Rick were crying laughing.
Oh, I bet.
It was amazing.
That's completely flipping
One of
the
my
script
favorite
around.
interviews
Yeah.
so far.
Dude, so Eleanor, what's it like to do comedy?
Dude, you didn't do it at first, right?
Dude, but first you did the waitering thing, and then you did the comedy.
It's waitressing, Polly. I
No,
mean, I don't have a penis.
but
Waitering.
but when anytime I go to a restaurant, I have a waiter, right?
Even if it's a girl, you
I don't-
call her a waiter?
Yeah, I say, hey waiter,
Oh, boy.
I need a refill. On
Does
this,
she still sleep
this
with you?
bread, bro.
'Cause
Yeah,
I don't like
bro.
these women.
So you were a waitress. I started asking all the
Same as Polly.
the same Polly questions. I have it pulled up. So,
But just without his
yeah, but without.
role.
I'm serious about it though. It's like a 2020 question thing. So now,
Let me get my tissue
yeah,
out.
yeah. Now you were a waitress, but then you did the comedy. So how does that happen?
Well, I'll tell you.
But how long were you working at the store before? Because that's an interesting thing to kind of see everybody's sets and everything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I could do
Almost
them
like-
all still.
Almost because people obviously treat you very differently when you're doing comedy versus when you're an onlooker. So did anybody kind of give you beef back in the day, whenever you started to make that transition over?
Not beef, but oh, sorry. Put this down. Jimmy Schubert, very popular.
Oh,
Anyway,
nice.
Speaking of older
Comedy
comics,
Store name drops. What's up?
no, but not beef. But I think it was my own insecurity
Sure.
that made me like when I transitioned to comic. Sorry, I'm not fully transitioned the other way, but when I transitioned to comedy, into comedy, I remember being like if Dom Irera was in the room, because this was one of my closest friends, you know, I'd be like, oh shit, what if he thinks I'm not funny? What if some of the things I say he thinks sound like him? What if, you know, like it was me.
Almost your own psychosis, like going through every possible horrible outcome.
Sure, because I'd write a joke and I'd be like, oh, that's not my joke. That's so-and-so says that, or this one says that. Because this is going to sound terrible, but I waited tables there for 12 years.
Wow.
And never did stand up. So every night, and there was times where I'd work a year straight, like maybe 2 or 3 days off during Christmas. But Mitzi trusted not a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I'd be able to sneak out just to go see my family for Christmas, and that was it.
Wow.
It was like insane.
Now, was it a building thing inside of you that you wanted to do stand
The
up?
building likes you.
Well,
No, it wasn't. It really was. Sorry, I have Tommy just comes in and out.
well,
So,
Tommy just comes in.
well, Eleanor, you're different. Okay,
You're not like these other women.
you're not a woman. What?
We don't know what you are, Eleanor.
So we don't know how to hate you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll put you in the lineup as our diversity hire.
One time I showed up, you know, on Mondays when you show up and you're just like, especially when Tommy was there, you'd have to stand at the booth and, hey, Tommy, how are you?
Right.
Which is fine, but whatever. And then I'd walk up one night, he threw the pen down and he flipped his hair and he went, well, you're going to get up early tonight because of your vagina. And I was like, wait, what? Did you just get in trouble? Like, what happened?
Yeah. Like, what is the HR meeting behind closed doors where he's like, all right, I got to fix this. I got to tell these ladies why I'm doing what I'm
changing,
doing.
Eleanor.
I'm progressive now, Eleanor.
I even let a black on. What?
What? What did you?
Tommy, come on, man.
Come on.
He was so bad. So
He said one time,
he's such an idiot.
I don't even know if I want to say this.
Oh, go ahead.
I'll say it, I guess.
He's not listening.
No.
They don't have Wi-Fi where he is.
He said to me once about me and Brenton, and he goes, you know, it's our time. I was like, what? He goes, guys like you and Brenton, the blonde hair guys, you know. he goes, the white guys, it's our time. I was like, I don't want to be here right now.
I don't want to wear this sheet.
Yeah.
What?
What?
Like,
no, it's funny. Put it on. It's a good stage gimmick. What?
hold the cross. You're a prop guy. Set it on fire. Wait.
I'll give you a better time slot. What?
He's so bad. But Tommy was very nice to me because I hired him.
That's such a weird
Sorry.
power dynamic.
How fucked up is that? Yeah.
It's so bizarre.
But we needed a body. And that, like I said, it was one of those times where Mitzi, we had a manager a couple times. She did this to me. But the fastest was a guy got fired within the hour of being his first night. We were walking around. He was with another manager who was training him. They went in the main room. Mitzi was sitting in her booth. And they said, hey, this is so-and-so. And she went, okay. They walked away. She grabbed me. She goes, go tell him, get rid of him. I go, what? I don't like his eyes. I go, we just clocked him. All right. So I had to tell the manager, you got to get rid of him.
Oh.
So she would do that, like crazy stuff like that. And then, so she was firing everybody, and we were it was like Christmas, New Year's, like we were getting everything ready, and I'd have to put the tree up, decorate blow up all these balloons. You know, it's insane.
Like around the store, like okay,
So like it probably was New Year's Eve because I remember just a bunch of balloons being around.
gotcha.
And so me and usually Princess Corey or Freddie Soto, whomever was around, because, you know, comics would come by during the day. Ari was working there, you know, so we would always just blow up balloons, tie them up, throw them around, and then pretend to decorate, you know, like it really looked like shit because
Yeah.
none of us were like, I'm not girly.
Sure. Hey, do you want to blow a balloon up? I'm a girl.
All my air is in my head. So we this idiot walks in and he was like, "Damn, I'm looking for a job." We were like, "All right." And I was like, "Can you answer phones?" And he was like, "Yeah." So we put him upstairs. He would get high and play a stupid guitar. We were like, "This is great. Now we don't have to worry about the phones all day."
Yeah.
And then he would answer the phones all day. And then Mitzi's health was declining and she would call up in her beginning of dementia and he would calm her down. So that's how he got. And then
That's
Duncan.
so interesting.
Yeah. And then Duncan Trussell, we hired him after Corey.
Which is so funny to me that Duncan Trussell
Oh my God,
was
he
the talent
hated it.
coordinator at the Comedy Store. Like it makes like if you think
He
about it
hated
now,
it.
like especially like how Duncan he is now.
Oh, yeah.
Just like to see him on that, like even to think of him like booking lineups, like it's so funny.
Oh, and he hated it.
I bet he did.
For a number of reasons.
It's like the opposite of what he is.
Right. He didn't like putting, like he never did the lineups. Mitzi always did them, but then you have to write them down and you're not on them.
Oh, that's so brutal.
Yeah. So because he was still kind of getting his feet wet in there, and she wasn't looking at him as a comic. So
That sucks.
but it took him. I'm like, this kid's hilarious. Thank God he left. He went on vacation and never came back.
How long did it take for her to start seeing you as a comic? Since she,
Well, that was another weird thing.
yeah,
When
since
I
you've been a
first-
waitress, you were there a waitress for like 12 years, and then you're like, no, I wanted to be a comic.
There's nothing she.
How do you shake that? Yeah.
There's nothing she hated more than a waitress turned comic. People are like, she hated women. I'm like, no, she just hated waitresses that said, oh, I can do this. And 9.5 times out of 10, she was correct.
Right.
Like I'd be like, all right, give it a shot. And then I'd be like, all right, I'm going to have to let that one go.
Sure.
Brutal. Some of the worst I've ever seen.
There's a
Now we had some great ones that worked for us and tried to get it, like Melissa McQueen, David Krause. Like these girls were hustling and getting. And this was when Mitzi didn't. Like now you can be a waitress and do stand up.
Yeah, Punky's a regular. She literally
Right.
was a waitress and bartender for years, and then she
went through the
transitioned
rank.
and went through.
Yep. But before, no.
Yeah.
Never. Mitzi didn't like that it wasn't that she didn't like women. She just didn't want the drinks are her bread and butter.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So she don't want you focusing on, I got to get on stage. She wants you focusing
on
on
that sale.
You got to sell drinks.
Yeah.
So the girls that like Melissa McQueen and them that I love, I'd be like, look, just on your night, I won't schedule you on Sundays because open mic was on Sundays back then.
Yeah, I remember.
So
yeah.
not Sunday and Monday, just Sunday.
Just Sunday back in the day.
It switched because Monday Night Football was hurting her Monday nights.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So originally it was Mondays. For years it was Mondays. And then it went the other way because of Monday Night Football. She switched it to Sunday. And then The Sopranos came out and she goes, oh, screw it. Because Sopranos came on every Sunday.
Yeah.
And that was bigger than Monday Night Football.
Oh yeah, of course. It's phenomenal.
So she had it Sunday, Monday.
That's so funny.
So crazy. Plus we were dying. It's a
Yeah.
club.
Well, that's what's interesting, especially for you too, is like you've literally seen the club in its probably barest form, and then also you've seen it thrive the most. Like out of probably there's only a handful of comics that are around the store that's really seen that trajectory of the up and down over the years.
And it is amazing what's happening now. Like that. Like I feel like if Mitzi were alive, she may have ruined this. Like, because she had her own way.
Sure.
Like even when it was dying, and I'd be at her house, and I'd be like, "Mitz, we have to pay this bill, to the bank. And if she missed one payment, they were going to take the club." And she's like, "We'll figure it out." And I'm like, "How?
Yeah.
How? We have nothing coming in. No La Jolla, no nothing." So she would be like, "I'll sell a house. I'll remortgage." And she would do anything to keep it the way she wanted it.
Yeah.
And she did. She gave every piece of her body and mind and money and whatever she could figure out. She downsized to everything. Like, it was amazing that she kept it that long by a thread, pretty much. But there was a good 10 years like that.
That's so stressful.
Frightening.
Yeah, that's insane.
And, but when I started doing stand-up, I was so scared for two things. Dice is my second ex-fiance, Andrew Dice Clay.
I don't think I ever realized that you two actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. I didn't know that you guys
People
actually
still think
dated.
we're together. I'm like, no.
I always thought that was like part of the part of the joke is that like it's always this cat and mouse game. I didn't realize he's an ex-fiance of yours. That's funny.
He's an amazing manipulator. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, people say, "Why did you guys break up?" I go, "Oh, I regained consciousness." And then he hates that joke.
Oh, I'm sure he does.
I enjoy it.
Oh no.
But we're still like best friends.
Yeah.
We're very close.
Well, you guys still, you still go on the road all the time
I
together?
helped him with his kids and stuff. So like he had full custody. So
yeah.
Anyway, but with him, it was also him calling him and being like, "Hey, I'm going to try this," you know?
Right.
And
how big was he at the time whenever you called him? Because like
this was 2007.
Yeah.
So he was climbing up.
Yeah.
He was climbing back up, I should say, because people like, "Oh, he fell off." No, he was a father. And he raised two kids that are nice, great boys.
Yeah.
That, instead of being the Hollywood, just ship them off, he stayed and raised them. And I mean, he would still go on the road,
right,
but he wasn't in doing movies and TV and film and stuff like that.
Yeah, hopping from set to set and plane to plane.
In 2007, he started, because 2008, I believe, was Entourage. Was it 2008? 2000? I forget. But yeah, what's that?
That's a theme song. Yeah.
I didn't even know it.
Oh, I loved that show when
I loved Entourage too.
I watched every episode.
He did season 8, the last season. He was the arc, but I can't think of what year it was. I'm terrible with that. But he was on his build up. He was coming up. So I called him and I was like, "Hey," first person I called was Mitzi. And I said, "Look, I want to do this one woman show.
Yeah.
Is it okay to do it in the belly room?" "Oh, that's great, honey. That's where they're supposed to be." But I didn't say stand up. I said one woman show.
Smart.
No, because that's what I thought I was doing.
Oh.
Then I called Dice and I told him, because I don't want him to think like, "Oh, I'm hanging around the Comedy Store. We just broke up." And but we didn't break up. Like, we were amicable. Like, we were still friendly. I hooked him up with the girl he was seeing. So I'm like, good like that. And so I'm not like a jealous person. I just didn't want him to think like, "Oh, now she's going to try to, invade my," that's his house first. Sure. I would never. So he goes, "Oh, good. We'll come see you." And I'm like, oh no. So he comes to see me, and afterwards he's like, "You're doing stand-up, stupid." I'm like, wait a minute. First of all, that's charming. Second of all, is this how you got me to go out with you? No.
You have such charisma.
What a sexy man. But for 5 years.
Yeah. Do you have any more nitrous?
I need extra. But yeah, so he, like, after that, he was like, "Let's go on the road." Because at the time we had a show on VH1. That's right. We had a reality show on VH1. I always forget about that show.
You and Dice did? Mm-hmm. What
Called
was
Dice
the
Undisputed.
Dice Undisputed. Mm-hmm. What? Tell me,
Basically what we do on Instagram, just yelling at one another.
Really?
But in the way we want to do it.
Sure.
Not, and then it turned to the producers being like, let's pit them against each other. Let's try this. Let's put Dice in some weird predicament. And he's like, I'm not doing it. And so we sabotaged it.
Nice.
Except for one time, he really pissed me off. And I got genuinely Dice is weird. He's like a shopper, a heavy shopper, but like for odd shit, like for furniture. Like if he was like, oh, I got a studio, he'd decorate it.
I need an armoire right over there.
I need lava lights everywhere and some kind of curtain and colors. And he loves it. I've never bought a curtain.
Yeah.
I've been living in my apartment. I have a vagina. I've never.
You just need to remind me every once in a while.
I have to remind everyone. Someone came to my apartment and they were like, hey, you don't have a trash can in your bathroom. I'm like, yeah, there's one in the kitchen. They're like, no.
No, that's not how we do
Like,
things.
I'm so sorry. She was so mad at me. I'm like, I didn't know.
I'm sorry. What did you just say? Eleanor, me being another female and as your friend, we're getting you a trash can.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Whatever.
Seriously.
The only girly quality I have is bad credit. So that's it.
That's a girly quality?
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah?
Girls are terrible.
Oh, I guess so.
We just charge shit. I mean, God, it was free.
I can pay for this later, right?
Yeah, I'll get somebody to do it. I know how to do it.
Yeah. Who were some of the like when you were a waitress at the Comedy Store? What did some of the lineups look like of like who were in those prime spots around the time that you?
It depends. The first overnight success I got to watch was Chris Tucker, which is why they tease me about him. But Chris Tucker was. I remember him showcasing and Mitzi just being like, "This kid's great."
Yeah.
Like obsessed. And so she was putting him in the prime spots. Trying to think of who else was so hot back then. Tommy Davidson. Like there were so many comics that were in the early 90s. What happened? Oh,
Nothing.
In the early 90s that like were hot and like in the 80s and still there.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
but
for
like,
sure.
Which was great. Like it's still some of my favorite comics on the planet.
Sure.
That were working. And then I really liked a lot of the obscure ones that no one knew. Like Steve Pearl could put me in a hospital. I'd laugh so hard and everyone hates him. Like they're like, he's great. But Robin Williams used to take all his shit because it's similar. And then he'd pay him. Robin would pay him.
Wow. After he would take it or?
He's like, look, I used all of this. Because Steve's mind is brilliant.
Wow.
But there was still like Carl LeBeau, who was phenomenal. One of the best performers.
He came in a couple times. I've seen him work at the Comedy Store. Probably this was probably 6 years ago or so. He would come in and Tommy
Still
goes,
so
I want you
good.
to watch this guy. He's physical like you. Watch him.
Unbelievably
he's one of the best.
physical.
He's
You're
so
right.
good. Yeah.
He would do flips in the hallways to get ready. And Mitzi would be like, Jesus, Carl. Like, that was just her story she'd tell me. 'Cause he wasn't doing them when I get there.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, when I got there, I started in 93 and Kinnison died in his arms in 92. So Carl was going through a hell of a time.
Yeah.
Obviously. But he would still come in and like when I would say like 95-ish, he was still coming and killing it. And I'm like, wow, like it's got to be so hard for him. Like that was their life, you know, the road, the outlaws, you know?
Yeah, his best buddy.
And he, you know, he was a phenomenal comic, not a great person, but a phenomenal, I never met him. Just kidding. I never got to meet Sam. He passed before I got there. So,
Yeah.
Which is insane. I'm trying to think of who else, but I can remember people like Sebastian, I remember his showcase and how bad it was. And I thought, no, that's not going to work.
Well, do you remember anything from his showcase? Or did it just stick out as bad to you?
It just stuck out as bad.
Was he still doing was he doing like very Italian stuff, or was it a different kind of?
It was different. It was
persona.
It wasn't as physical as he is now. Like he's gotten.
Oh yeah, he's
way more animated.
Oh yeah, it's definitely like amped up over the years.
Yeah.
Even like in the time that I've been at the store, like I've seen it like literally
change.
He's now,
and I
like,
love
more,
it. I absolutely adore Sebastian.
Aren't you him?
This guy, because he used to open for Dice. We used to torture him because he'd be like, this guy. Everything was like, and then it got to such a point where it was almost like he couldn't finish his sentence. Like we would tease him, you know what I mean? Because it was his progression, whatever he was doing. He was growing into him. But when he got past, I remember taking the lineup, Mitzi would watch her showcase and she put marks next to them, which meant yes or no. And I was like, oh my God, she passed this guy. This guy was terrible the night before and tonight. And I say the night before, he was a graduation class from, he took Sandy Seashore's comedy class.
Oh, wow.
Mitzi's daughter.
Yeah.
And Sandy always, I didn't know this, but Sandy opens her class. Sebastian told us on the Comedy Store podcast that she opens her class. If you're here to meet my mother, she hates me, so let it go. And Sebastian was like, oh, like, because
he's like, this is my end. Yeah, this is my end.
And he was so mad. But he took the class and she would do her graduation at the store. Mm-hmm. And I watched him and he bombed at his graduation. Bombed hard. Because I'm watching like insane killer comics and this wasn't one of them. So she passed him and then like a year, maybe a year and a half of like terrible spots, like 1 a.m., I think they even moved him back to the belly room for a little bit, like just back and forth back. But she was still working him. He came into his own, and maybe it was like almost 2 years later, or in the OR, and I'm waiting tables and walk by Mitzi. Everything okay? And Sebastian's on stage, and he's just killing. And she goes, "I surprised myself with that one."
Oh, that's cool.
And I was like, "Oh, good." Whoops.
Yeah.
Because when you met him, you're like, "Oh, this guy's great," and he was a waiter, so we all connected. And he would hang in the kitchen.
Yeah.
He never hung out front or he didn't do drugs or whatever. So he was always just in the kitchen with the wait staff because that's where he felt comfortable.
Sure. That's awesome.
But so I watched him come up. That was cool. I don't know who else. I can't think. It's too early.
It's all good. We're going to get into this next segment. It's called Fanning Out.
Oh, good.
Fanning out. Questions from fans.
Am I going to be a fan?
Yeah. No. People reached out from the internets. I said, send some questions to Eleanor Kerrigan, some internets, maybe some character suggestions for us to maybe pull off.
Okay.
And this first one comes from
Danish and O'Neill.
No, we'll get to them.
Oh, good.
Shep You Heard on Instagram. What was the worst thing about growing up with 9 other siblings?
Oh, God. Bathroom time.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, let me tell you something. Me and my mom were joking. She still lives in the same row home that we grew up in.
Yeah.
And she was like, look at that. We were watching something on TV. She goes, look at that. A nice house with a lot of people, and their bathroom has a door on it. Because we have such bad anger issues. If someone was taking long, we just break the door down. So we had a sheet for years. So I'd be in the shower. My brother Jimmy would be on the toilet. My brother Johnny would be brushing his teeth.
Oh, wow.
Good times, people.
Wow.
So people are you shy? No. Everyone has seen me. It's fine.
The sheet thing, that's got to be...
It was awful.
That's got to be a smell issue, too. right?
It's like the woman's bathroom. We just pretend it's not happening.
It's kind of like the people who live with cats long enough, they stop smelling the stuff around them. So it's
You've
just
become desensitized.
yeah.
What is it?
Yeah.
You've gone. It's the stupid commercial. I can't think of it. You've gone nose blind. That's it.
Oh yeah, the Febreze.
You've gone nose blind.
Yeah.
And you have to go nose blind. And I probably did have allergies.
It's just that Kerrigan stench. Don't worry about that over there.
And I was such a fanatical cleaner too, because that's how I would get my anger out. So my brothers would be like, yeah, I'd be in it. I'd be like, yeah, you son of a bitches. You didn't let me comb my hair properly. Like, because if I didn't have enough time, my hair is really curly. It takes a lot. So I have to blow dry, get it down. Otherwise, it's just a knot. It looks like a knotty. It doesn't curl properly.
Right.
Like it almost dreads. I probably could do dreads. Maybe I'll do dreads.
Do dreads.
Anyway, but literally it gets like knotty. And so I have broken at least 50 mirrors because I've thrown the blow dryer through it in anger.
I thought you were like, I've broken 50 mirrors just by looking into it when I haven't fixed my hair properly.
Mirror. Wait a minute.
Okay, I just said mirror. I didn't even get to my question.
I wasn't going to ask if I was the fairest.
Yeah,
I was just going to say.
No.
But yeah, and I just broke another mirror when I was home. But this time by accident, not because. And I left it there so my brother Bobby sees it because I know he's going to be like, bitch, did your hair come out wrong?
Yeah, what's going on?
You're not over that shit yet?
Yeah, what's going on? I saw footage of you a while ago that you posted that made me very curious that I want to ask you about, where you did wrestling.
Oh, wow, Women of Wrestling. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
How long did you do that?
One of my good friends, Cher, that I used to wrestle with from Caged Heat, ladies and gentlemen, was last night at the store.
That's so cool.
So, this was probably the worst and greatest thing that ever happened to me because I went to an audition and it was in the lobby of a hotel. So,
So you know it's legit.
Is Meryl Streep here? What?
Yeah, what's going on? Is she just seen?
So I went and it's basically the same as Glow, the TV show.
Yeah.
That was my life. Like I was just
That's what I
struggling
was
for
going to ask
acting
you.
parts.
I was like, how realistic is that compared to what?
Perfectly.
Really?
And I tried to get on that show. They won't let me. I mean, because there's just
You're
it's
like, I was
weird.
one of the real ones.
Well, Glow was when I was younger, kid actually.
Yeah. This is more 90s, right? Like late 90s?
This is late 90s, 2000.
Yeah.
We got cast in 99 and then it didn't come on until 2000.
Okay.
And we were on for 2 seasons. So, but it whipped me into shape. And I remember when I got the job, I thought, oh shit, how am I going to tell my mother that I'm going to be a wrestler? Because my mother hated that I was such a tomboy. But there was 4 boys in a row and then me. And she's like, oh, my little girl. And I'm like scratching my nuts in the corner.
Yeah, I've got a vag, Mom. Yeah, what about it?
Like,
Eleanor, you're smoking at 9. Yeah, I know. I just got my period, too. Don't worry about it.
what time's the communion? I played football in my communion dress. Like, hates me.
Are you done taking that dump in the bathroom? I'm almost out of the shower. What are we doing here?
I used to sit with my legs wide open and my grandma would walk in and go, please, you're taking everybody's picture. Like, what?
You can't.
No idea. Snapshot.
You can't.
Gank, gank, gank,
You
gank.
can't. You can't.
I was the first Snapchat.
Snatch chat.
Everybody was talking about my Snapchat. Who wants ears? Anyway. So awful. So I was like this little tomboy, horrible person for my mom, in my mom's eyes. Everybody else was fine with it. And so my mom was, I called her, I go, Mom, don't get mad. I'm going to take this show. It's a wrestling show. And she's like, oh, honey, I'm so excited. I'm like, what? And I was on a cell phone. It was 99, so they weren't great. And I go, oh, she's not hearing what I'm saying. She goes, I'm so happy for you. They have great women characters on that show. I'm thinking, wrestling? I go, Mom, I got to call you when I get home. So I called her from a landline. You can Google it if you don't know what a landline is.
I grew up with landlines.
You did?
Oh
Okay.
yeah, of course.
So some people are like, what? Yeah.
I had a buddy who he still had the.
Oh no, he had the I can't even think of
The
what it's
rotary.
called. Rotary.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah. Even that's old for me.
Yeah.
So we were touchstone, a little hipper.
One second. Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'm I'm
Is this a
30
party
feet away
line?
from the cradle. I gotta get closer real quick. Sorry, the reception's a little funky.
So I called her from a landline, and it was literally like maybe 10, 15 minutes later. And my sister Karen answered, and she goes, yo, you're going to be on West Wing? I go, what? My mom thought I said West Wing.
Instead of wrestling.
She was outside telling the whole neighborhood.
Oh no.
I said, you need to rein her in.
Oh no.
I am not going to be with Martin Sheen. I'm going to have a woman with a mullet and a sleeper hold. Now, get her back inside. She didn't talk to me for weeks.
Oh yeah.
Then she watched and she started watching. She goes, fine, I'll watch. Honey, your kicks are all off. You're missing the person. You're selling it late.
It's like critiquing. Yeah.
I was like, is this real? All of a sudden, she's a professional.
Yeah. All of a sudden. All right. Let's go. Let's warm up real quick with each other real quick.
She would call me every Friday to go over everything that I did wrong.
Eleanor, this is a sleeper hold, okay?
Your elbow is not connecting. All right. She got into it, but she hated it. She wouldn't tell her friends for a while.
Oh, really?
I'm like, oh, but if it was West Wing.
It's funny. Some of the projects that I have been a part of, my mom really does not like, but she's so supportive of me individually.
Right.
But she definitely honestly, it's funny. The two main things that I've done out here, like as far as like what people will come up to me on the road, Kill Tony and Roast Battle.
Sure.
My mom hates both of those shows.
What?
Yep.
Interesting.
Kill Tony, she thinks is too mean, and also Roast Battle too mean. She goes, I like when you go up there and do crazy stuff, and I like when you do characters, but she's like, it's just not my.
I don't want my Jeremiah to be mean.
Pretty much, yeah.
My mother's like, you're at your best when you're mean. I'm like, oh, okay. She just don't like wrestling, you know. She don't want me to look bad.
This is just a comment that I want to read to you because it's just a nice comment. At Smith did it on Twitter. Saw Eleanor at the Comedy Store probably a dozen times in late night spots, usually after someone bombed. Somehow she'd bring a dead crowd back to life. Every set was different. She's great to watch.
I love you. Thank you.
So what I wanted to comment on that is, and this is a 100% compliment to you. Anytime I have to follow you, I'm always like in the back. I'm like, oh, okay, frick, dude. Here we go. You're a hard person to follow because you work the audience into a frenzy, and then I'm like, I have to go in and be like, okay, do I ride Eleanor's wave or do I try to reset the room altogether? I always like moments before I'm like, okay, how am I gonna attack this?
I had to follow a character the other night.
Did you follow that?
Phenomenal.
Did you follow that?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
That was amazing. Sure, there was comics in the back going, oh, I'm not next. I'm glad I'm not next. And I'm like, guess who is?
I did Lieutenant Stroganoff the other night at the Comedy Store.
When
Bike cop.
You kept flipping your hair, and I was like, I'm going to tackle him. I love this bit. I love this character because it's so dumb. It's Reno 911-y, but better. Is that an insult? No, right?
No.
I love Reno 911.
Yeah, I love Reno 911.
The way you're like, and just buff, I loved it. I love it.
It's so funny because the audience was like, nope. We do not like that. Like the comics loved it in the back.
Yeah, we were screaming.
But like
I thought the audience was
the audience
into it.
did it. They were okay into it, but like
I think they get confused. Like
they were they were legit confused. They were like, "What? Why is this guy in a cop outfit on stage? Like,
is he gonna strip?"
Yeah, it was very.
I was hoping for that.
Oh, it just like hit the music.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
But keep the wig.
Just keep the wig on. Just it's all frizz.
That would make my heart sing.
Yeah,
That's how my hair is.
That frizzy?
Can you
Are
imagine?
Serious?
Yeah.
It's like that tight of
I'll
curls?
show you a picture. You'll be like, oh, honey.
Oh, honey. Now this one comes from Danish and O'Neill.
Oh, God.
What happened between you and Chris Tucker?
All right. These little shits are awful people. And this is what happened. Chris Tucker and I were very good friends. Also, Phase on Love. They were very new comics at the time. And Chris was very poor. And he had a car, or maybe it was Faison's car. I don't remember. Both of them came in. The car was on fire. So we had to push it into the Comedy Store. So help him put it out. We pushed it in the back. I'm like, don't worry. Like my other friend Lauren helped. Like we were like, just leave it here. I'll tell Mitzi. It'll be fine. Just keep it in the back until they could afford to fix it, whatever. Because it's not like they could have it towed. Like none of us had money. I was waiting tables and obviously auditioning in lobbies. So not a lot of money. And the Comedy Store wasn't like killing it, you know? And so this other guy, David Banks, who's a brilliant, God rest his soul, man, who used to write for Richard Pryor for years. This guy's hilarious, but he became my favorite person because he'd be like, Eleanor. You know, you would love him. Like I have saved an answering machine because him and my grandma are on it. And I'm not sure which one's funnier. Like, because my grandma's old school too, but this guy, David Banks, if you ever watch Omit Logic, which is Richard Pryor's documentary on Showtime, David Banks is in it.
So here, talk into this and act like basically what the voicemail was that was left to you. I want to hear what this voicemail sounds like. So
And this isn't a PG show, right?
No, go for it.
Eleanor, you must be fucking somebody if you ain't answering this phone. Who you fucking? You still fucking Chris Tucker? Once you get that dick out, you call me back, ho.
Literally.
I love you, girl.
Person.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
If you get a chance, Google Richard Pryor roast
Richard Pryor roast.
and look David Banks as the greatest person on the planet. And so David, Danish was and O'Neill were door guys. So David would come, Eleanor was fucking everybody. She fucked Chris Tucker. I'm like, wait, what? Because I helped him with his car? Like, he took it to that level. And he would say, I slept with her. And then one time he was in and he goes, I remember you, to Danish. And Jeff was like, oh, yeah. Hey, what's up, Mr. Banks? And then he's like, somebody walked through. He goes, he was fucking everybody. And I was like, see, that's just a thing he says.
Yeah.
Like,
That's one of his catchphrases.
the funniest net. So they took it that I slept with Chris Tucker.
Yeah.
But I never did. I love you, Chris, no matter what. You can tell them one day we didn't sleep together.
Oh, no.
I was supposed to play his sister on his TV show with the Michael Jackson skin disease, and it never came to fruition.
I played with Tiffany Haddish. I played this. It was a pilot that never went.
Oh, cool.
Before, like, this was years, obviously, before like the Girls Trip and all her movies and stuff that have come out, where I was one of her mentally handicapped dates that she went on, and we had like a sex scene where I was
That
like
makes me so happy.
drooling on her and stuff. And it was so not PC. I wish I had the footage because it's so.
Who did it? Do you know?
It was like.
Because I know Tiffany would leak it, no problem.
Yeah, maybe someday she will because
Yeah.
it was
But she
so
might not
ridiculous.
Have it or no, you know? what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's one
She
of
might
those
know
things.
Who did it? but
Yeah, I don't even remember. Like it was like,
it legit or was it, just something they were
at
trying to sell?
It was at some studio, like literally, like in the valley, like deep in the valley, where they had like
Those
a
are
few.
the best ones.
They had a few set pieces, and like it was legit enough. You know, they had audio, and they had everything that was like
Don't bring a
properly
black light,
to shoot.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly, to shoot a pilot. But yeah, it was definitely one of those things where it's so ridiculous.
It's amazing.
Danish and O'Neill, when did your shoot from the hip style originate?
Okay, no one likes either one of them.
What was your date with Ari like? There's a lot of people asking about what was your date with Ari Shaffir like?
Because they're evil people.
Did you actually go on a date with Ari Shaffir?
No. God. Who would go on a date with Ari Shaffir?
I think a lot of people.
It was a date?
I
You know it was a date?
I think,
We worked together at the Comedy Store. We were working during the day. He wanted to go to lunch. I said, yeah, let's go to lunch. We were at the Standard, right? I was sitting, we're talking, we ordered food.
Which
there was a
Ari
dog there.
is very Jewish, so that was definitely a date. If he took you to the Standard?
No. He took. Listen, if he's Jewish, then he became Dutch at the end. I don't know a lot of Dutch Jews, but maybe they're out there. I don't know.
Are we going to split this or?
We're not. I'm not paying for mine.
Is it okay?
I'm only paying for.
Yeah,
only brought enough money for me.
I got bread and I got some water and I got this.
By the way, on this supposed date, so there was a dog. You know, these twats in LA, they let their dog just run, and this was years ago. She just wasn't paying attention, and her dog was at our table like begging, and I'm like, really? So I didn't say nothing, but I was being, because I like dogs, I don't like people, so I was just like, all right. But then the dog like was trying to eat my French fries, and I was done, but at the same time I'm like, what if this lady's like,
yeah,
don't give my dog your French fries, bitch.
Right.
You know, I don't know. So I moved the plate, and the dog got mad and I got bit by a dog on a supposed date with Ari. So if anybody wants to go on a date with Ari,
It's called karma because you didn't put out. So,
I kicked that fucking dog. But you can't kick the dog. That's not right.
Oh, go on.
Never went on a date with Ari.
People keep asking about the 7-Up cake. Why can't you tell the difference between home-baked and store-bought 7-Up cake?
That they tricked me.
No, I don't know about this.
So Danish and O'Neill did a live podcast, and or 200th episode, and they had me make a 7-Up cake, and then they bought a store-bought 7-Up cake, which is atrocious. Mm-hmm. It's sweaty. You've seen them in like Ralph's. They're usually at the front with like a giant orange discount, 6 cents.
Oh, yeah,
it's gross.
Right.
It literally has bacteria. Like, it's uncomfortable. It comes with diabetes. It's not a real. So they blindfolded me, Natch, and they put 2 plates in front of me, and they put the store-bought and mine. And I ate it, and I was like, this one's mine. And they turned it over, and it said store-bought. But then they immediately took the plates, because both of them said store-bought. There's no way There's no way I picked that shit. Too much lemon 7-Up cake. So everyone went crazy. They were like, you picked the wrong one.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let me
It's been
see the
ongoing
plates.
forever. Yeah.
They're evil people, just so you know.
Where's the Kerrigan family toboggan these days?
That's hanging in the basement like a trophy, as it should. Do you know what the toboggan is?
No.
My mom, because we didn't have a lot of money. And at the time, I think my dad was like starting to cheat on her because my parents split up when I was real young. Mm-hmm. And it was bad blizzard in Philadelphia, really, really bad. And St. Louis was already in town to play the Flyers.
Yeah.
So we grew up like a mile from the stadium, Spectrum, whatever. So they came on the radio, and I remember my mom's house was full because nobody could go out. So my brother Jimmy was stuck somewhere. My dad supposedly stuck somewhere. I mean, they could have walked, but you know. Anyway, so they were stuck, and the house was just wild. And I believe my sister Karen was punished, of course. And so it turned into like a whole. My mom got a phone call from my dad. She hung up the phone. She was pissed, and somebody had the radio on, trying to hear about the storm or something. Who knows? And they said, if you could get to the Spectrum, we'll let you in for free, and we'll give you hot dogs and hot chocolate. And my mom was like, you know what? Wrap them up. Let's go. And she wrapped us all up. Not every one of us, because they had 2 young ones. So Karen, and my brother Tommy had to stay home and watch them. And Johnny, Charlie, myself and my brother Billy, she put us on a toboggan, if you will, and pulled us to the Spectrum. And when we got to the Spectrum, we saw our dog on the way. We were like, where have you been?
Why are you making mom mush right now? You could have been mushing this toboggan the entire time.
My dog would go out in the snow never play with us. She'd be like, I'm on my own, bitch. And she would just, her name was Fluffy, and she was everywhere. Everyone knew her. And so we lost my brother Billy in a snowdrift for a minute, and I kept pulling, saying, Mom. And she's like, God damn it. Get on. So hold on, and she pulled us. We got there. There was like 20 people in the Spectrum. So we were at the glass, hot dogs and hot chocolate. So exciting. And Bobby Clark checks this guy. You'll have to Google it, the young ones, and checks this guy against, his nose is bleeding. He's smashing him against the glass. And my brother Billy is like, oh, and he like sits down, and Bobby Clark is like, oh, and he just smiles and skates off. My mom said it was the greatest moment.
That's so funny.
But Johnny and Charlie were a little bit older, so because they were such diehard Flyer fans, and so was my mom.
Yeah.
So it was like a big deal. So they teased me about my toboggan.
That's so funny.
That got the Kerrigans around South Philly.
Yeah. That's epic.
It was an amazing
It's like a Calvin and Hobbes adventure right there.
Yeah, so we hang it,
It's ornamental at this point.
It's up there.
So I think we're almost out of time, but I want to do sax talk with you real quick before we get going. There's a couple segments I wish we could have gotten to, but
why didn't you tell me to shut up?
Because you're fascinating. I'm listening to all your stories.
Just say shut up, ho.
No, yeah, shut up, ho. You out there having sex with other people?
Hey.
This is our final.
Fucking everybody.
Eleanor. This is our final segment. It's called Sax Talk.
Woo!
Sax Talk. Your story of some kind of sexual encounter, doesn't matter how graphic or innocent, and I will follow you along and sax it up. So whenever you're ready, I will follow you.
Dang, you made me think of two awful ones. When do I start?
Whenever you're ready.
Whoa. Okay, let me sit up for this one. Get the hunchback out. So this one was with my first ex-fiance. I have a couple of those. I'm not a closer. So, okay, it'll get interesting. And he was drinking a lot, and he fell asleep. This may or may not be considered rape. Sorry. So we were on, he fell asleep, and we were in a hotel, and I remember thinking, we started fooling around and everything was fine, but then he fell asleep in the middle of it. That's not good to do to a girl when she's 25. It's a lot of alcohol to put in this. So then he passes out, and I'm like, fuck this. But he still had an erection. So I was like, you know what? I'm an old school cowgirl. So I just hopped right on. And I did my thing. I had a good time. I came hard. Like really hard. Then I went to sleep. You know, that good sleep like after sex, like, oh, okay. And he woke up furious. His balls were as blue as your shirt. I don't know if they were, but he did. He woke up and he was so upset. He was like, why do my nuts hurt? And I'm like, I don't know. And I never told him that I did that. Is that bad? Is that rape? If it is, I'm sorry. That's probably why he broke my heart. I'm sorry. Are you contemplating if that's a Me Too story the other way?
Can I just say, in the current times that we're in, it's so refreshing to hear it from the other perspective.
Fuck you guys. I don't care. I don't press charges. So
That is so funny because I think that might be the only time in my life that I've ever heard that perspective of like,
sorry.
he still had a boner. He was passed out and mama just hopped on and got her rocks
What are we
off.
going to do about this?
What are we going to do about this? You're leaving me awake? Come on.
There's still a stick in the room.
Come on, let's go.
Don't be a stick in the mud.
Oh, my balls hurt.
He was so mad. He was like, God, why do I have such pain? I was like, what's wrong?
Yeah.
Like yelling at him.
Cut to the montage of you. You doing like every different position. He was like,
Drooling like you and Tiffany had it.
that's so great.
That was before Viagra too, I think. I don't think he had Viagra. He was young. He was
I
like
think
30,
he
33 maybe.
I think he had that Kerrigan stench on him. And
Well, there's no door on this bathroom.
there's no door
so I'll
in
go
this
in.
bathroom, so I am rock hard right now. Here we go. Eleanor, is there anything that you would like to plug before we get you
Oh my
out of
God,
here?
what am I plugging? Eleanor,
Do you have any
Comedy
dates?
Store podcast.
Comedy Store podcast, of course.
I don't have any dates. I'm single. Oh no, those don't start till February. But I'll be at like around LA, Comedy Store, Laugh Factory, whatever. Just check their websites. But also Comedy Central starts Friday. When does this come out?
Oh, The Ringers.
Yeah, The Ringers.
This will be your episode. Watch her on Comedy Central
January
upcoming you're
24th.
because this will be out on Monday. So
Okay.
in the next like couple weeks, look out for Eleanor on Comedy Central on
I'm
The Ringers.
excited.
Dilbert presents The Ringers.
Oh my God, really? I'm so excited for this because like Ingram's on it, Punky,
It's so
Brent and
cool.
Biddlecombe.
Yeah.
Like, and if it does well, they'll do more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
That's what
great.
you want, more really for more comics. So
Yeah, it's really
hopefully
exciting.
Watch it. If they watch it, we can get more opportunities.
Yeah, for sure. I am on tour right now. Go to jeremiahwatkins.com for a new merch store that I just opened up. Can we pull up dates right now? Is that possible? But I will be in Syracuse, Albany, Buffalo, New York, and then also with Kiltony. Separately, we'll be going to Calgary and some other dates like in Texas and
Isn't
La
that
Jolla
terrible?
coming
Yeah,
up.
I'm putting them all on my website. I promise I'll update it. But Jeremiah already did because he's smart. Go for it.
Sunnyvale also.
Ooh, helium.
I'll be doing some sets with Tony Hinchcliffe in Calgary at the Laugh Shop.
Perfect.
And I think I named all the stuff. Also, Tahoe on January 16th. If you're going to be there, I'm going to be there. Josh Adam Myers and Joe Sib.
Yes, Josh is also on The Ringers.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's so many of
he
our
killed.
friends.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
so
all
great.
our people, if you will. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It's cool to see, like, especially people who like should have dope stand up like shot well and like professionally like that. Like that's something that that's a goal of mine that I'm still going for, is to get like either a late night clip or like some kind of that's not me shooting it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's just like it's cool. It's just like so I'm really excited for you, and I always love seeing you at the store. And like I said, biggest compliment that I can give to you. Like
Thank
it's so
you.
fun to hang out.
It is a big compliment.
And you're hard to follow, and she's amazing. If you haven't seen her live, please go see Eleanor Kerrigan live. And I had a blast with you, and I love you, and thank you for doing the show.
Thank you for having me.